Mr. Lincoln believed that one free state would have outvoted the 12 slaveholding states and thus abolish slavery. On the contrary, would not the 12 slaveholding states have outvoted one of the free states, and under this doctrine have fastened slavery by Constitution provision upon every inch of the American public. Thus, you see that the doctrine he is now advocates the proclaim at the beginning of the government would have established slavery everywhere throughout the American continent. And you are willing now that we have the majority section to exercise power which we have never would have submitted to when we were in the minority. And the southern states had have attempted to control our institutions and make the states all slaves when they had the power. I ask, would you submit it to? If you would not, you are willing now that we have become the strongest under the great principle of our fathers made it. Divided into free and slave states, allowing each state to decide for itself whether it wants slavery or not. If Illinois will settle the slavery question for herself and mind her own business and let her neighbors alone, we will be at peace with Kentucky and every other southern state. If every other state in the Union will do the same, there will be peace between the North and the South and the whole Union. Now, you also find that Mr. Lincoln there proposed that the doctrine of the Declaration of Independence, declaring all men to be born equal, did not include the blacks, and put him in equality with the white man. That we should take the statute book and tear it out. He there took the ground of the black race is included in the Declaration of Independence as the equal of the race. And there should no be such thing as distinction in races, making one superior than the other.
Is that all?
That is it.
After all, the question upon us will recur. How did the fraud originally get into the state register? Lapierre, then as now, was the editor of that paper. Lapierre cannot be ignorant of how and by whom it was originally conducted, can be reduced to tell, if he has told. Can Judge Douglas be included to tell how it was originally conducted? It may be true that Lafreniere insists that the two men for whose benefit it was originally devised shall at least know their share and how that is. I do not know. And while it remains unexplained, I hope to be pardoned if I insist that the mere fact of Judge Douglas making charges against Trumbull and myself is not quite sufficient evidence to establish them. And now, if it only means for me to say that I think it is a very grave question for the people of this Union to consider whether, or of the fact that slavery question has been the only one that has never changed, or Republican institution, the only one that has ever threatened or missed a dissolution of the Union, that has ever disturbed us in such way to make us fear for the perpetuity of our liberty. In view of these facts, I think it is exceedingly interesting and important question for us to consider whether we shall engage the policy of acquiring an additional territory, discarding altogether from our consideration while obtaining new territory. The question how it is may affect us in regard to this, the only endangering element to our liberties and national greatness. I'm willing and anxious that they should consider them fully, that they should turn it about and consider the importance of the question and arrive at just a conclusion to whether it is not or wise of the people of this union in the acquisition of territory to consider whether it shall add to the disturbance that is existing among us. Whether it will add to the only threaten, whether it will add to the danger that has threatened the purposely of the Union or our own liberties, I think it is extremely important that they shall decide, and nightly decide, and that question before entering upon that policy.